Hey everyone, I'm doing this video on the hippie movement. There's a song by Bus Driver, the underground rapper, called Sphinx's Coonery. And at the end of that song there's a recording by Alan Watts, the great spiritual teacher, in which it appears to me at least that he is referring to the hippie movement. If anyone cares to look up that song, Sphinx's Coonery, maybe just skip ahead to the end where you can find the recording of Alan Watts, because I can't appear to find it anywhere else. That 20 seconds of him talking characterizes exactly how I feel about the hippie movement. The hippie movement, like many social political movements, had a good foundational basis, philosophical basis behind what they were doing. But not enough people actually understood intellectually what that philosophy was. They could see it, they saw the free love, they saw people taking care of each other, and they saw the communal effort that was going on. And obviously anybody would think that's a good thing. Well, most people would think that's a good thing, and they were going along with those good vibrations, and they were riding that wave, if you will. But too many people in the hippie movement were just bandwagoning, honestly. They didn't know about, corporate greed and government corruption, macroeconomics, banking structures. It was about, peace, love, and understanding. Well, that's great. Everybody wants peace, love, and understanding, you know what I mean? And to exercise that in the way that the hippies did was a good thing. But if you're not simultaneously teaching people why it's important, it's going to fizzle, like it did. And this is part of the problem, and this is a big part of what the government or the powers that be or the powers that were or whatever really want to see people do. You can't ask the government to take care of you, okay? Because if you do that, the government's going to take care of you in the way that it wants to take care of you, which is to toss you in a prison where they don't have to worry about you. I mean, honestly, if you keep begging for them to save you from yourself, what are they going to do? Well, let's just toss you in a prison, because then you can't harm anybody, or at least when you do, we'll have you on guard, and we can contain you. This is why petitions don't work. Petitions are a complete fucking waste of time. Look it up in the dictionary. What does petition mean? It means to beg. Begging your government will do nothing. This is why the Occupy Wall Street movement also has a lot of issues. The Occupy Wall Street movement is a bunch of people that got together to live communally, great, wonderful, good thing, and then bang on Wall Street's door and say, why are you doing what you're doing? Stop doing this, this is bad, blah, blah, blah. You're complaining, that's all you're doing. You're complaining, you're whining, you're just completely missing the point here. The point is, when you want to change things in your society, don't go to the people that are instigating the problems and tell them to stop doing what they're doing and start positively affecting change, because obviously that's not going to do anything. If they wanted to do that, they would have done it already. Kind of a huge waste of fucking time, if you ask me. What you need to do is start small and local with your community. Be communal. Talk to people. Explain to them why it's important to have alternate economic structures. Explore those ideas. Explore different concepts. Debate different concepts with your friends. What concepts and what styles of communal living will work better and which ones will work worse. If you keep asking the government to help you, they're just going to laugh in your face again and again and again. You don't need to ask permission to feed each other, clothe each other, provide medicine for each other, provide shelter for each other. These are things we could do now. We don't need funding from the government. We don't need government approval. We don't need the government to do anything. They're the problem. They're the ones instigating the problem. Okay? So the only way that we can eliminate the problem, which is the government, or just the people behind the government, is to stop complying. Stop going to work. Stop using money. Stop doing this. Stop doing that. And then people go, okay, well, what am I going to do about my house and my clothes and my food and whatever? Work with your friends, your neighbors, your community to provide each other with food, clothing, shelter. If everyone's working together, it won't be a problem. Because it's easy to see that some people will have more than others, and they can easily share. If it's for a communal effort, people will get on board. You know what I mean? If people stop looking out for themselves and only caring about themselves, people will notice. That was what the hippie movement was about. People notice. People notice people helping people. They notice the love and the you know, the good vibrations, because it was easy to see. What we need is people to emulate those good vibrations and those good communal skills, while simultaneously seeking to educate people about what it is they're fighting against. That way, people have first an intellectual basis under which they can say, okay, I know why I want to stop corporate greed, because it's murdering people, it's destroying nations, it's creating mass genocide, it's destroying the environment, and here's all the reasons why I know this. And then they can go, I now have a practical application in which to go about bringing down this power structure. I'm going to help my friends, we're going to work together, we're going to get as many people as we possibly can to stop complying and start focusing on each other and helping each other out and working together. That is exactly what the government does not want. That is exactly what the power structure does not want. They don't want people working together. They want them dependent on the system. Because if you are dependent on them, they have you in the palm of their hand. You're using their gas. You're using their money. You're buying their food, their clothing, their shelter, and people are surprised. They're surprised why their life sucks. Think about it. That's also a problem. Not enough people think about it. Not enough people think about, where did this gasoline come from? What was the process involved in which the gasoline came from that country to this country to my car? How many people were harmed in that process? How many people are being harmed now by me just filling up my gas tank? People need to get involved in social issues. If not for others, then for themselves, because this is affecting everyone. We're living on one planet, okay? We're all in this together. There's no countries. Do you not understand? These imaginary lines we've drawn across the land mean nothing. These governmental structures that we have created for ourselves are destroying us. Not enough people are recognizing this. So what needs to happen is you need to go around and pop as many bubbles as you can. Pop people out of their little bubble of reality and show them, look, you can't just sit on your fucking couch and watch Jersey Shore all day long. Go to the gas station with your big ass SUV and pump gas all day long. Go to your job that helps nobody, designing missile systems or whatever the fuck you do, and start getting concerned about the world. Realize that your tiny little life of your 9 to 5 job is meaningless. It has to end. There's no other way around it. Either it ends on our own accord, in which allows us to create a new reality for ourselves, or it will end on its own accord, in which we encounter a biospheric destruction, the complete collapse of our civilization. We don't have a choice. It's inevitable. The path that we are on, for anyone that wants to open their fucking eyes and look and see the patterns, is obviously leading to destruction. Either we wake up, take responsibility for our own actions, take responsibility for our own lives, stop looking for the government to help us out with every fucking little thing in our lives, then real change can happen. Pay attention to what's going on. Don't just watch Fox News. Watch Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC, then go online, look at the Independent, look at the Huffington Post, and then look at all the crazy weird shit that people are posting, not affiliated with any news corporation, and make up your own fucking mind. Because then you've heard the entire story. You've heard the spoon-fed story, you've heard the false independent story, and then you heard the real independent story from real independent people who are not connected to any other government agency and have no agenda. They're just telling you what they know and what they've learned, okay? Then you can make up your own mind. If, once you've done all that, you want to agree wholeheartedly with Fox News, fine. Go ahead. But at least you've analyzed all the data and were able to decide for yourself what it is you believe in. The epitome of ignorance is when somebody says, I know this, I know that, without even looking into it. I just got into my friend the other day mentioned that he had heard that Heath Ledger was assassinated. I personally have never heard this before. I've never heard this theory before, but as soon as I heard it, didn't surprise me. That's the norm. I could fucking run off hour-long videos of talking about people that have been assassinated with evidence. The fact that Heath Ledger, a man who is very socially conscious, will be assassinated is not a surprise. He's a big public figurehead. If he suddenly starts coming out on TV and giving interviews, speaking out against the government and, corporate greed and animal cruelty and all these things that he's involved in, people are going to notice. It's going to make waves in the community. Much easier to just take him out. You understand? Now, that was just my own rationalization of what my friend said. Okay? I have never looked into it. I have no clue whether or not he was assassinated. I'm just telling you how I can, in my mind, see how that's possible. Now that I know that that's possible, and obviously it's possible that he didn't, that goes without saying, I now have both possibilities in my mind. Now I can go look it up, review the information, and decide for myself whether he was or was not assassinated. Okay? On the other hand, my friend, immediately after saying this, Heath Ledger was assassinated, from his friend that he heard it from. Immediately after he said that his friend told him this, he said, I know he was not assassinated. And I said, how do you know? Have you looked into it? And he kind of had this face like, like a deer caught in the headlights thing, well, no, I haven't looked into it, but I know he wasn't assassinated. What are you talking about? How do you say that you know something without even looking at it? That's like saying, I'm a Christian and I know that Islam is completely false. Well, have you read the Quran? Oh, well, no. What the how dare you be so ignorant? That's what's wrong with the world. People do not know how to educate themselves. They are so used to being spoon-fed information from their parents, their schools, their government, they don't know how to make up their own minds. They don't know how to research for themselves. They don't know how to look for information. They don't know how to analyze information. Listen, right now, we need to do whatever we can. Whether it's shouting into a fucking camera on your computer, making a video that nobody's gonna watch. It doesn't matter. Do what you can, okay? Write poems, make art, do anything you possibly can. Those of you that know what's going on and want to change things, do whatever you can in this moment right now to stop what's going on, to educate people, to show why it's important to live in an alternative way. Your school, your job, your kids, maybe not your kids, but all that shit, put it on the back burner, okay? You're taking one for the team now. We all are. Everyone we're all in this together. And those of us that are in the know need to take one for the team, okay? If enough of us take one for the team, it will resonate out enough to cause a global evolution. Okay? Do what you can. Doesn't matter if you have $1 billion in your bank account or $0 in your bank account, because it's not about money. It's about intention. Set your intention to, in every encounter you have with every person that day, bring up a social issue. I understand there are people with egos still, and all this and all that, and radical views and whatnot. So what's important is that we figure out how to segue into these topics in a non-intrusive, unoffensive manner that creates a dialogue with others who don't share the same viewpoint, using logic and reason to come to an understanding of the issue. Because logic and reason are two arms of truth. Wherever there's truth, there's going to be enough logic and reasoning behind that truth to support it. Always. And the biggest point I want to make before I close out is the wonderful line that I heard David Icke say: you can't unhear something. So if I tell you that 9/11 was an inside job, and you've gone your entire life from that point on, September 11th on, without even questioning it, and then somebody comes along and says 9/11 was an inside job, obviously your first reaction is going to be bullshit. That guy's a kook. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But the words are in your head. Second time you hear it, same thing. Third time you hear it, same thing. Fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 20th, 30th, 100th, you're eventually going to go, alright, either I look into this for myself, because there's clearly enough people that are telling me otherwise, or I'm just going to accept the fact that, you know, I'm an ignoramus and a fucking robot of the machine, and just going to do whatever I'm told to do and believe whatever I'm told to believe, even though they may not word it that way in their head. That's exactly what's going to happen. When you've looked into 9/11 enough, meaning equal research on both sides, then you can make up your mind. But until then, don't go around telling people 9/11 wasn't an inside job, just because in your framework of how the world works, people wouldn't be able to do that. They would never do that. No, you would never do that. You, in their position, would never do something like that. But you're not in their position, and you don't know how they think. Just because they come on TV with a big old smile and they do the little acting routine doesn't mean you know how they think. Okay? Wake up.